Right, we're going to move on now to look at ICT planning and what we call the technology trap. This is actually the underpinning idea of what we're doing here with NetGain, because so many voluntary organisations jump in to buying kit, they're given kit, it's donated to them, they don't necessarily think about how they're going to use it. There's a kind of solutionitis in the sector where people jump to a solution without thinking about it, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. So we're just going to look at that now, and I'll explain to you some of the thinking behind that. Right. So here we are. We know that there are ways of doing things with older technology, the tried and tested ways, the old processes for getting things done in an organisation. And we're not saying here that using manual systems and the way you've always done things is bad. And basically, if it isn't broke, then don't fix it. And we all know that a good manual system is better than a poorly designed or poorly implemented computer system that nobody knows how to use. So this is not to say it's bad, the way things have always been done. However, we are being pushed towards efficiency more and more. We're using data more and more. It's the information society, it's the information age. We're being asked for information from funders. We're having to deliver information to our clients. And so we know that really we need to try and improve the way we work and move up towards new technology so that we can realise our potential. However, that path isn't quite as easy as it looks, as we all know. So often what we do is we're given or we buy technology because we think it's the thing to do. And before we know where we are, that technology has actually taken over. And we're doing things in a certain way because the technology that we've purchased forces us to do that. Now, it may not be a very good way of using the information. It may not be a good way of collecting the information. It may be that the computer actually sets up barriers, so people who need to access the information can't because of the way that it's being collected, or that the connections between information sets are not happening. So the technology is in control. So that is a situation that lots of voluntary organisations find themselves in when they haven't thought about what technology they want and why and how it's going to be used. Now that might constitute a rather large investment in a database, for example, or in staff training to use the systems when you then find out that systems aren't working properly. And so it's very difficult to move over into realising your potential because of those barriers. And what you often find you have to do is to actually go back and think about how you're doing things before you move around that wall. What NetGain tries to help you to do is to think about actually how you do things and maybe review your ways of working, how you go through the processes in your organisation, how you collect information, how you bind it together before you decide what technology you're going to use. Now, if we can do that and think about processes, often we can decide what technology we want to run those processes on, and it works much better, it's much more efficient. And when we devised NetGain, and you'll find today, this is in the reference guide, the 10 steps I mentioned earlier. The first 4 steps are actually looking at how you do things, your processes, before we even think about technology. Come step 5, which we'll have done by the end of today, you turn the corner and you start thinking, if that's how I work, how do I apply technology to that? And so after step 5, the rest of it is actually looking, refining your thinking so that you understand how you might apply technology to those processes. And so that's the underpinning idea for NetGain.